Star Wars Geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Hi, this is Zoe from Star Wars Geek Girl, and I'm here with Lizzie.
Hi.
And we're also here with Jonah today.
Hey.
We're going to talk about, we have the last 3 episodes of The Mandalorian to talk about. We'll probably mostly just talk about the finale, though, because that's, like, the big one.
You don't want to tell them that, like, I'm physically here with you in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania?
Okay. Lizzie is in Pennsylvania sitting next to me. Jonah's not.
Yeah.
Jonah's
not.
not. We got to bring you here. It's like an 8-hour drive.
I moved to New York, and then I texted Jonah. I was like, hey, I'm in New York. And Jonah's like, I'm not in New York anymore. Like,
that was a very unfortunate series of events. Yeah, I was like, no, Lizzie, I'm not in New York anymore.
She moved away from me. It's fine.
I did. But it wasn't by choice. It was because I had no monies, and my mom had the monies, and she went to North Carolina, so I had to go with her because I needed the monies. You know, COVID times makes it tough for us youngins.
Did you guys get snow down there in North Carolina?
No. I don't know what it took me forever to come up with. No. And also, by the way, I love my mom not just because of the monies. I didn't want people to think that I only followed her. No, I love my mom.
It's because you love your mom. How is she?
She's fine. She's good. She's working from home, which is really nice. And it's always fun going up to her and bothering her, like as if I was a 7-year-old or something. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's good. I was in New York for school, and it like barely snowed. It like snowed a little, and then that was it. And then like I wake up at like 2 p.m. and then it was like it snowed at 10, and I was like, oh, I guess I didn't wake up for snow.
Yeah, it's very odd, the snow patterns nowadays. You can't predict them.
It's snowing a lot here though.
Yeah, well, we got like a ton of snow all at once, and it's just still hanging around.
Got it.
My favorite activity to do in snow is lay in it.
Lay in it?
Yeah.
Did you have a snowball fight?
Not really.
Did you go sledding?
I did go sledding, but the snow where I was is like crumbles. It doesn't actually form. That was
okay.
Unfortunate.
I'll have to peg you with a snowball later.
Good.
I would like to see a video of that.
Yeah. Okay, but snow's cool. I like it.
Yeah. It's just funny because like I remember the first snow I had in college, I was in Philly and it snowed. It didn't snow that much, but my roommate was from Georgia and she was like, look, it's snowing. And I was like, oh God, I have to go to class. And she was like so excited because she didn't like no snow really.
That's
and I was
me.
just like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. The only thing was like I was really, really cold. I was cold at 70 degrees and it was all of a sudden 40. And I was like, I don't think I can go to class right now.
So funny.
Let's talk about The Mandalorian.
Yeah. So
yes.
We're behind a little.
Yeah. So we need to talk. The first one's chapter 14, which what's the name of that one?
Just says chapter 14.
What's the little thumbnail for it?
I'll tell you before you watch the episode.
What's the name?
Find it.
What's your name?
I honestly don't even remember myself because it's funny because I know that we got it weekly, but it still feels like I binged it all, so I don't remember half the stuff that I saw.
Weird in pandemic ways, honestly.
My mom wishes that they just gave it all to us like that to binge watch it.
That would be nice.
I think it's kind of nice though because like especially with like school and stuff, like I don't know if I have time to binge watch it soon enough to not get spoiled. You know, so I like that I can set it aside like an hour a week, but like during school I don't think I would have had time to just binge it all.
So true, and then to process it all. But chapter 14 is the tragedy, and that's
Thank you. I'm like watching the whole episode.
Yeah. And then that's with Robert Rodriguez as
I
the
remember
director.
the tragedy now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember like the title popped up, and me and my dad have been waking up at like 5, 6 to watch all the episodes this season.
AM?
Yes.
Okay.
Not all of us sleep until 2 on a daily basis. So it's not that bad. But so we would like, and no one else wants to wake up that early. So we would watch it just together, the two of us. And I remember the tragedy popped up, and I was like, uh-oh, my dad started laughing at me.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like I saw it and I was like, oh no, it's not. It doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it's interesting how they title these, because some of them I feel like are very like straightforward. Like the finale was just like the rescue, and it's like, yeah, the rescue. But then some of them are a little bit more like the believer was the one before the finale, like the sin in season 1. So it's like, it's weird. I want to know their like title, how they think of those, and like which ones.
Yeah, like what brings them to that
like,
one word.
It seems simple but complex, because I would never name an episode The Rescue, because I'd feel like, oh, people aren't gonna like that because it's so simple.
Or it gives away what it is. Yeah, even though we know it's going to be the rescue.
But the tragedy, he gets to, what's the planet?
Shoot, I had it at the tip of my tongue. It's a Jedi-like planet.
It has the rocks, the cool rocks.
It has cool rocks.
I feel bad that I don't know anything Star Wars. Tython.
Tython, thank you.
Yeah, because a lot of Legends people were very excited for that, right?
Yeah, sometimes Legends people are like, oh my god, it's planet. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, is this how people who like haven't watched Clone Wars or Rebels feel? Because like we're like, oh my god, it's Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Like, but then like it's a Legends thing, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's this, and I'm like, okay.
That's it, exactly.
So, yeah.
Like, cool, I guess.
But so they get there, and I was surprised that they went there the next episode after he was told about it, because up to that point, the whole series was like, all right, Mando, you got to go here, but it takes 2 episodes to get there. So he actually got there, and I was like,
yeah, wow, good job.
This is surprising.
Quests. This whole show to me has just been like a video game, because like I'll go somewhere and then it's like, well, you need to do this side quest. I'm like, okay. And then I do the side quest, and the side quest has like 7 more side quests to do. And I'm like, okay, when can I actually get to what I need to do in the game? But yeah, I liked this episode. And then they go and he just drops him off at the Seeing Stone. He's like, do you see anything? Like,
there's a butterfly.
Yeah, there was
butterfly. I like with the butterfly, because it reminded me of in the Clone Wars when Yoda would sit.
Oh
and
yeah,
like,
yeah.
The little things,
things flying around.
It's funny because every time I see that blue butterfly, it always reminds me of the Ben Solo fans and their love of that butterfly, because they believe it's a connection to Ben Solo because of this. I forget the name of the cartoon that made that connection. But the thing is that butterfly, or at least a variation of that butterfly, has been in Clone Wars, like you mentioned just now, Zoe. So yeah, it's something that I personally relate to the Force and not necessarily to one individual. So yeah, every time I see that butterfly or anything butterfly like in Resistance, I don't know if you remember that episode. Yeah, where they found that temple and you see these little flying butterfly-like creatures. I thought, oh, Force-related things. I'm excited.
Just Force things.
Yeah.
But what is he like? Turns around for a second and then he like looks back, and like Grogu is like, yeah, we know his name is Grogu at this point. Like this Force aura bubble around him.
Yeah, it was very and I know I keep bringing everything back to Jedi Fallen Order, but like it reminded me of when Cal does like the meditation circles in that game. Whenever you like save, he like sits down and like it doesn't look exactly like that, but like the runes light up and there's like a light.
That's cool. I didn't realize that was. I mean, I probably did, but I just forgot. But yeah, that's neat, that comparison.
Still need to play that game, because I got so frustrated with it, because I played it when like it first came out, so there were still like bugs and stuff. And I like the audio didn't connect with what the scene was, like it was off, and that was like bothering me a lot. And then I died during a cutscene. Like I fell through the floor while I was meeting his master, and I was like, Wait, and my dad was next to me. He's like, how did you do that? And I was like,
classic Lizzy.
Like I died. And I was like,
yeah.
But
I didn't even get to really play that game much at all till fairly recently, just because I had to go to school like when it came out, because it came out in the fall.
Yeah.
So like I didn't have my Xbox in my dorm room. There were some people in my building that like set up. They took their desk and like took everything off it and set up a TV and like Xbox or PlayStation on their desk, and I'm like, what do you do your schoolwork?
Yeah, it's the complete opposite of what you should be doing in school.
Yeah. I have like dressers in mine, and like they're pretty tall, so I just had like a TV and I just put that and like my Switch next to it, and then like a plant. My plants died. 2 of them died. It was gonna be cilantro and like basil or something. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be yummy when they're all like grown, and then they died because there was no more sunlight. But
someone who did come close to dying
was
the Mandalorian, because I felt every time he tried to go into that force bubble, I'm like, what are you doing? You're just gonna kill yourself slamming into a rock somewhere.
Trying and kept getting thrown back. Well, but after he saw Boba.
Because we seen the Slave One, yeah.
And we're like,
when the Slave One was landed, it looked weird. I mean, it looks cool, but like it looked like it was crashing, and I was like, oh, there he goes. Like, I don't know, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if they're gonna like elaborate more on exactly how like Boba was doing, like what he was doing on Tatooine, because to me, I thought something happened somehow to the Slave One or whatever, and he just like for whatever reason couldn't find his armor and couldn't get off the planet, and that's why he was hanging around on Tatooine and how Cobb Vanth had his armor. But then in that episode, he mentions Cobb Vanth by name, so obviously he knew who had his armor, and he had the Slave One. So I was like, well, Boba, why didn't you just like go get it?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I've come to believe, and I saw a few other people say the same thing, but Cobb Vanth wasn't using it for selfish purposes. He was using it to get rid of bandits and protect this town. So I think Boba saw it as like, okay, well, he's doing some good with it. And we've come to know Boba over time, over these past few episodes, to be someone who's an honorable kind of guy. He's not like the Boba they depict in the comics, unfortunately, because I don't think they really have a good handle on who Boba is in those issues. So I think Dave's Boba is really interesting. And my best friend is very happy about it because she loves Boba Fett, and I'm so happy for her.
I mean, it reminds me of like younger Boba in a way. I don't know. It was like younger Boba was very. I keep almost saying Axel because he does.
I call Ezra or Axel Ezra. I don't know why.
These side effects of cosplaying.
But so Boba, when he was younger, was pretty like kept to his word and stuff, even though he was like very, revenge hungry for like Mace. Words, but I don't know. It definitely reminded me of younger Boba in a way, like still like sassy. And then there's Dark Disciple where like he was still sassy, but he was also like, fine, I'll help you go get your boyfriend.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a moment. That's a moment that a lot of people forget about because obviously it's a book. Not a lot of people have read it. But yeah, that's a very significant Boba part to me that I always fall back on. Like Boba's not just this evil guy.
Yeah.
And even in the very small clip that we saw with him versus Cad Bane, like he is there because he's telling Cad Bane, let these people go, or whoever he has under his whoever he's captured or for whatever reason. But even in that clip, you see that Boba's trying to do something good against Cad Bane, who is, doing things out for his own self. So, I really like the interpretation that we see in the Mandalorian. And he kicked butt. I was so into it.
He has gaffy sticks, so I like to think he had a relationship like Din has with the Tuskens, where he like talks to them because
it seems like if you're not rude to them, they're not rude to you. So like,
except for Luke, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, that's true. I guess.
Or Ezra.
Luke was spying on them. It's fine.
What about Ezra?
Oh, Ezra too. Yeah, I guess he just didn't really know. I mean, I think that was the first time he's ever been to Tatooine, so he wouldn't really know the.
Ezra wears bright orange everywhere, so he probably just saw that and we're like, get out of here.
You with your fashion.
Oh, so funny.
Cone. And he tries to sneak around, but he's dressed like a traffic cone.
Yeah, he really is a traffic cone. But I also love the return of Fennec Shand.
Yeah,
that was cool.
She came down because she was gonna shoot Grogu, like, because they're working with Boba. Boba wants the armor back and stuff, and Mando's like, yeah, take the armor. I mean, kind of, sure, maybe if you help me, but.
Yeah, well, Din's a little resistant because he's like, how do I know you're a real Mando?
Yeah.
But when Boba does take it, Din's just like, well, I guess. It's yours.
I mean, he can't just rip it off of him anymore.
So, but yeah, so they fight. There's some stormtroopers that come down from the Empire because
lots of stormtroopers. I thought it was one ship.
They were tracking. Gideon had Din's ship tracked, of course.
Yeah,
which I'd forgotten about. Like,
yeah,
I'm very grateful that they like do their little like things you need to know in the beginning of each episode because little things like that slip my mind. So that they fight Fennec and
Fennec has robo-tummy.
Yeah, she has a robo-tummy.
She does have robo-tummy.
She technically died, but like not really, right?
It does bring to question the whole death thing in Star Wars, like. When death should be a final thing, because we saw it with Maul, we saw it here with Fennec, and I'm sure there were other characters who were brought. Palpatine.
If you're gonna die, just come back as a robot. That's fine.
Or a clone or something. Who knows? Like there needs to be it's been too much of a thing lately, and I feel like there needs to be some finality when it comes to someone dying.
Well, right? He's fine. And
Who?
I think like with
Kane,
he's fine.
Okay.
He's fine. And I think with Fennec they can like kind of skirt around it being like, well, she wasn't totally dead when Boba found her. She was just like dying and he saved
breath, yeah.
So I think they can skirt around that a little bit. But I agree, it's almost like like superhero comics to the point that they're bringing a lot of people back.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I'm not technically complaining, but
it's
like
only okay
kind of
to bring characters back to life when I want them to be brought back.
Like Kanan.
He's fine. He's fine.
Kanan's fine.
I didn't see a body. He's okay. So.
That is a good point. That is a very good point because he was technically holding the Force. He was using the Force, so maybe he created a Force bubble around himself.
Exactly.
Oh man, I want to read this fanfic now.
I didn't see a body.
No.
Okay.
He's crispy.
He just wasn't in the finale because he was building a nursery for the baby, but he's fine.
We
are all in denial.
Not Lizzy, but
not me. I went through all my stages. I'm accepting it.
I got you.
I don't have to go through the stages of grief because there's nothing to grieve.
But something that did actually die, like whoosh, was the Razor Crest.
It did, yeah.
Oh my god.
It just like it didn't even have a chance that time.
No.
I think the Mon Calamari could probably fix it. But
it's fine. Yeah. Just pick up the little dust pieces.
But yeah, it was just obliterated like in an instant. And like the first thing that went through my head though was my dad just bought the really big one, like expensive one. Like I was sitting next to my dad and I was like, "You just bought that?" And he goes, "I know."
Just destroy it now. It's fine.
So funny.
We didn't get it yet, but
yeah. My dad sends a bunch of memes and stuff, and there was one that's like Razor Crest explodes, and it's Mando like, "I'm never gonna financially recover from this." But
yeah, the Razor Crest is
destroyed.
Gone. It's like the whole season has been him trying to get it fixed. And then it was finally fixed. It had like one whole episode of being okay.
Yeah.
And then
boom.
Boom. Yeah.
But luckily Boba got his armor out. Although I guess Beskar would have been fine even if he didn't.
Do you think
that's true?
Boba? I would imagine.
What was the question?
Do you think Boa's armor is Beskar? Because I don't know if like Sabine's is and stuff. Although Sabine's helmet was able to take a blast. Like,
and
I don't
Sabine
know.
said that like her armor has been forged and reforged, so I would assume that means Beskar.
Yeah.
They're just.
I think so.
Look shiny like Mando's
Yeah,
does.
I guess so. But yeah, they take Baby Yoda. There's these. What are they called? The stormtroopers. They're
dark troopers.
Dark troopers. Yeah.
Troopers they fly away with poor Baby Yoda because Mando went to get him and he was still doing his Force thing. And Mando's like, "I'll be back," and as soon as he leaves, it ends.
They
I was like, "No."
Oh, sorry. Say again.
My mom was frustrated with that because like he kept trying to go in and out, and my mom was like, "Stop." Like, because my mom's a mom and she's smart, and so she was like, just wait there, sit there patiently and wait, and don't leave him.
Like, I'm of the opinion that if he had said Grogu's name, it would have worked.
Oh yeah, maybe
Grogu. Little face.
The first scene of that episode I loved when he just kept like saying Grogu and like seeing his face. My dad was like, I used to do that all the time with you when you were a baby.
My dad. I
do it with my dogs. I don't have children, but I do it with my dogs.
You don't have children right now.
I have this.
Yes, that child. Acceptable.
What else happened in that episode? Fennec's back. Boba got his armor. He got the spear. The spear was Beskar and it survived. And the ball.
The ball somehow survived.
I think the ball might be Beskar. And Baby Yoda likes the ball.
Of course.
Because it reminds him of Mando.
Of course.
Yeah.
Mando is just a ball of Beskar.
Yeah.
Basically.
But everything else in the Razor Crest is toast. And then Zero's body or droid body is toast. The droid.
But then Boba, like, I think Boba, like, there's a bunch of stuff that's like Boba sees that like a father lost his son and he knows what it's like to lose his father. So like,
Boba and Fennec
agreed to like continue to help Boba.
Yeah, they agree to help and
Mando.
Boba, I think, it's just they went to like just get his armor and then they got pulled into all this.
Yeah.
They're just like, man, this guy's life kind of sucks. Let's help him out.
Let's help him. It's fine.
I really like how they that's actually how I was hoping this season finale would have ended, where the Jedi that we got, ignoring what actually happened, the Jedi I was assuming that we would get would have gone on with Din and Grogu in their journey. So that would have been a cool partner to add in there. But unfortunately, that's not what happened.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
15.
That's
Chapter 15, The Believer.
I like that title a lot.
That was a great episode, by the way.
I love that episode, definitely.
It was my favorite.
That was a very strong episode for this season.
Yeah, Mando goes to Cara Dune and is like, hey, they took him. Like, I need someone to go with me on a mission to, like, find out Moff Gideon's coordinates and stuff. So I keep trying to, like, separate Cara Dune and Gina Carano just so I can enjoy the episode.
Right.
It's so hard. But, like,
it is quite the task, yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, because I love Cara Dune, because she's such a cool character, at least to me. And like, she's like a buff female that's also cool to me. But then like, Gina's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so she's in this episode, and
they go to the New Republic, I guess, like prison camp.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's right. That like junkyard.
It's not prison camp. They're working in a junkyard.
Yeah. That was pretty neat.
Episode where they found Maul.
That's what I thought of too. Where?
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. I forget the name of that planet.
I don't know if it's the same planet or not.
I don't think so, because that planet was like red. It was weird. But
yeah, it was pretty bad.
Pretty bad. But then I don't know his name, but they find
Mayfeld.
Yes, him. They because they did a mission before in season 1. I
finally learned his name. I didn't remember his name from season 1, but I just called him Bill Burr. But now I'm like, all right, I know your name now. You're fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so they find him, and because he used to be an Imperial before.
Yeah, but not a stormtrooper, wise ass.
No.
Mm.
And then what happens? Sorry.
They
take him for a
and
mission.
Mayfeld is not thrilled to be working with Mando, considering his last experience with Mando, which I mean, it was his fault that like he kind of took Mando off, but like can't blame him for not being stoked about seeing him again.
I guess, but also they tricked him first, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they go
to there's like an Imperial base on some planet that's I would say this season the Empire is functioning surprisingly well considering.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was thinking about.
They're functioning a lot.
Because like I think like I don't have a problem with them having any presence, and I didn't feel this way in season 1, but I feel like this season like they have like fully staffed like bases and fleets, and it's like where you're all supposed to be gone. You're all supposed to die in the Battle of Jakku. Like that was a big thing.
Or taken as prisoners, or things where the New Republic would have just handled. But apparently the New Republic hasn't handled them.
Well, and I'm just thinking even like the Battle of Jakku is the climax of several books and comics and one of the video games. And it's like, and the whole point of it was that all the Imperials went there and got destroyed.
Yeah.
And then, but it's like, well, did that even like matter?
No.
To me, the Empire is pretty big. Like, even if they did have this big fight, like they're gonna have people stand by.
Right, but they still have like.
But it is still a lot.
It's still like
Imperial presence.
I wish at least they'd have something to indicate that like oh, this base, like yeah, we still have this base, but it's like run down and like,
to show that they're struggling to maintain themselves.
It just feels like besides like some of the references to the New Republic, you could really just like push the series like 5 years back and it would feel still natural, you know, just because of the amount of like Imperial presence there is.
Yeah, my thing is like, since there's so much Imperial presence, why was the New Republic so surprised that like First Order was a thing? Like, because they wouldn't believe people that were like, we have First Orders.
25 years between Mando and
Force Awakens.
So it's, you know, they have some time, I guess. But
my thing, to me, it relates to real life and people that are like, oh, well, I have the Confederate flag, you know, around. And I'm like, okay, but like, first of all, y'all lost. Second of all, like, it doesn't surprise me that there's still people around and they're trying, like, I don't know.
I just think like on a thematic level, maybe logically it makes sense, but like thematically, like we've had so much content that's dedicated to like this was the death of the Empire and a new era.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like a new era.
Yeah.
You know?
It still feels like there's a bunch
even
of
if
Imperials.
maybe it logically makes sense, but I don't really watch Star Wars for the logic. You know what I mean?
Right, of course.
So I think like the themes and just overall like the feel of it should take a little bit of precedence, I think.
Yeah. But anyway, there's still a lot of Imperials.
Yeah, there's a lot of Imperials. They have the space. Din wears the armor from Rogue One, which I thought was cool.
That was interesting.
I felt like, because he was looking at it, and I was like, oh, he's going to wear it.
Yeah.
No!
And he's definitely doesn't suit him very well.
Yeah, much like Cara Dune says, like, I tell you look good, but I'd be lying.
I don't know. He looked really good. I was like, woo! I love a man in uniform.
It didn't really fit him right, I don't think, which was intentional, but it didn't.
He looked short.
Because, like, I know people who wear that costume and it fits them really well. So to me, I was like, that's not.
I mean, like,
that wasn't made
his
for
size.
No, exactly.
You know?
Like, that wasn't made for him. That doesn't look right.
Got it. But I do love how just very stiff he was in it. Yeah. Like, you see Mayfeld take off the helmet, but then you see Din's body language, and it just really describes
comfortable
how he's lived his life encased in something where he just doesn't know how to operate outside of it.
Well, and I think also for him it's probably like psychologically the idea of wearing like Imperial armor after everything the Empire's done to him, you know. So,
that's a good point.
I think that's something that was, you know, it was subtle. They didn't like bring it up explicitly, but I think that was a big part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
But so they get attacked by pirates on the way there.
Yeah. I was like, and I wish they would be like, no, we're on your side or something, but like technically
the pirates
not.
really weren't on their side, because I thought the pirates were like, oh, they're gonna steal this stuff. But no, they were just gonna like
destroy
just blow it up.
Yeah. They were the good guys. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And I remember when the Empire came in and started shooting them down, there was like a split second of me, yes, and I thought, no, I'm just rooting for the Empire. What am I doing? Having an identity crisis.
Yeah, they were like, I never thought I'd be so happy to see stormtroopers.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I feel like it's happened to me a lot, like in like Inferno Squad in the beginning when you're playing as the Imperials, or in the Inferno Squad book, the same thing. I did a podcast with your dad about that, and we talked about it. And like it's like you're like rooting for the Empire, but like, wait, no, I can't do that. But like, it's an interesting thing. But before they get attacked by the pirates, he and Mayfeld talk, or I guess Mayfeld talks.
Mayfeld talks.
Sits there. But Mayfeld has like a really, I would say, interesting monologue about his perspective about like the New Republic and stuff. And I don't know if I agreed with what he was saying. I don't know if Din did either. I don't think that was the takeaway they wanted.
There were slight things I was like, question mark, I guess, but like, I don't know.
What I did like about his conversation was when they went through the town, he was saying how the Empire, the Republic, it doesn't matter to these people. They're all the same. And it's true, because in Star Wars The Clone Wars with Cham Syndulla on Ryloth, he, whether it was the Separatists or the Republic, he did not like any of those parties on their soil, on their planet, because they were invaders regardless. And I really like how Mayfeld brought that up, and I thought, wow, that's interesting, Mayfeld, that you brought up this conversation.
I think it's interesting, and it's a little indicative of how maybe like, because we really don't have that much content of the New Republic, at least not the political side of it, which maybe just because no one cares about that except for me. But but it's interesting because like what we have of the New Republic, to me, suggests that the New Republic is a lot better than what the Republic was in the Clone Wars. And there isn't, like, we talk like in like Kashyyyk, that's in the Aftermath books, and Kashyyyk is, the Wookiees are represented in like the New Republic Senate and stuff, but there isn't like a New Republic force there the way the Old Republic would send clones. So it's weird because it's like, well, like, is the New Republic like invading planets? Like, we haven't seen that, so for Mayfeld to say that to me is really it's interesting, because like, are we going to see, there's a New Republic show that was announced, are we going to see them kind of like invading planets more, because we don't have any other indication that that's what they're doing.
I thought it was, I can't remember what book it is. I think it was the drama the Count Dooku one. Do you remember young Count Dooku, and how they needed to pay, like, planets needed to pay the Republic to protect them from like just anything, otherwise they wouldn't even mess with that planet, which I thought was interesting. Nothing to do with the New Republic, but just what I thought was interesting in general. And then there's also, like, slightly related, but like Vimerati on Batuu, like, the people there don't really care who's governing their little city, because unless they get paid, which is why I thought, because that's what they said in the book. And then when I went to Batuu, I thought that was really cool, because like we were talking to Vi, I don't know if you were there, but Vi asked like the people whether they'd like the Empire or the First Order or not, and they said, and like the people responded, well,
I think I
with
was
like,
there.
well, they pay money, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So I thought that was things like that are interesting.
To me, like, and this again goes back to like the themes of stuff. Like, I don't know if I'm opposed to an arc about like the New Republic teetering into gray morality, but for me, the thing with the New Republic is, ever since the first Star Wars, all of these like really beloved characters have been fighting and dying to establish the New Republic, with Clone Wars, Rebels, Battlefront, again, tons and tons of the books and the comics. We have all of these beloved characters putting everything into establishing the New Republic. And I don't know how I feel thematically about being like, well, the New Republic sucked. So like all your favorite characters did all that and sacrificed all that to essentially make the Empire too. You know what I mean? And that's a problem I know a lot of people have with The Force Awakens. They feel like the Starkiller base just wiping out the New Republic. They're what's the planet in Chandrilla?
Yeah,
there is
the whole system.
The whole system, and a lot of people felt like that just kind of undid everything from the original trilogy.
Yeah,
so I think if they go the route of like, oh, the New Republic is just as bad as the Empire, I'm like, well then, why did the Ghost crew sacrifice so much? Why did Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie and Lando and everybody?
I guess they did it in hopes that they would be building something better for the future. Because you never really know. Things could go sideways very quickly, and that's what sadly ended up happening. But that doesn't mean that newer people like Poe and Finn should give up on building something new. It just means that they have to really pay attention and learn their lessons, because the New Republic didn't learn it. Just because something is out of sight and out of mind doesn't mean that, you're okay and you're safe. And that's sadly what ended up happening. They thought, oh, these people are operating out there, there's no really harm coming towards us, until it did. And unfortunately they couldn't do anything about it.
What happened on Batuu before the First Order came? They're like, it's fine, they're not going to come here. And then they did.
So I thought Mayfeld's perspective on that was interesting. I thought he was talking to Din about how the Mandalorian, he thought the Mandalorian beliefs were, or Din's beliefs at least, were like inconsistent and wrong, and Din was just like sitting there like,
silently.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was an interesting question when he said, is it that you can't show your face or you can't take off the helmet, because they're two different things? And I thought, whoa, Mayfeld is really tossing some interesting questions out there.
Well, because in season 1, Din told, I think he said to Kara, he said if he takes the helmet off, he can't put it back on.
Right.
No? And
like he couldn't show his face to a living thing, and that's why IG-11 said, I'm not a living thing.
Yeah. So it would be interesting for clarification on which, if it's taking off the helmet, because he said taking off the helmet, but he's also said showing his face. So it's interesting to see which one is more accurate, I guess. I mean, it seems to me like he might adhere more to just not showing his face.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, this episode, well, I guess we'll get to that later. So they get to the base, and there's the face scanner thing.
Oh, well, right. Yeah, because they're all because all the stormtroopers are cheering that they were the only ones that made it. Probably because they had a Mandalorian fighting.
That scene, though, the fights, I'm going back again, but that fight scene was interesting when he would try to block stuff like he would with his armor, but the armor just shattered because it wasn't Beskar.
That was so funny. Yeah. And that's another thing that I hope I love Mandalorians. I love that they have their cool armor and everything, but I really hope they address that Mandalorians are more than just their armor. Like they need Din needs to really accept that he's more than what he's wearing, because it shows that it's a crutch to him, and like he relies on it to go about his life. And I hope that they address that. I mean, thankfully, we get to a point where he does start taking it off, but I hope he starts taking it off more willingly and realizing that, okay, I need to figure out how to approach life without it, in the likelihood that I don't have it on like I did in that moment fighting off those pirates.
Yeah, and I think we could draw with that. I think we could draw some parallels to the Jedi and their lessons about how, it seemed
the lightsaber,
their lightsaber, and I think even with Din and his armor shattering when he tries to block like he normally would, we see similar things in the Clone Wars. Ahsoka, when she loses one of her lightsabers when being chased in season 5, even though she still has one lightsaber left, it's really disarming to her to just lose that one, because she's gotten so used to fighting with two that it throws her off and she's able to get captured. And I would say even in Rebels, I think when Kanan is training Sabine, I think, she gets all her cool gadgets from Fen Rao, and Kanan tries to teach her, like, you can't just rely on those in a fight, you have to be able to fight without them and not become reliant on them.
Yeah, it's a great lesson. I mean, look at Ezra leaving his lightsaber with Chopper because he knew that he had to leave it behind and figure out how to go about doing this in a completely different way without it. And I love that we've seen it with the Jedi, we've seen it with Sabine, and I hope we get to see it with Din at some point. But I feel like in order for Din to realize that, he's gonna need some like mentor-like figure, and I don't know whether we'll get that, but I really would love to see it. And that's why I really love the idea of a Jedi accompanying him and Grogu. But dang it, we didn't get that.
Yeah, but so he takes off his helmet for the face scanner. Which I was like, why'd you do that?
Now the Empire has a scan of his face. Well, because Mayfeld was gonna go in and do it.
But then there was like an officer he used to work with.
And he's like, no, he'll recognize me. I can't do it. So Din went and did it. And then the officer didn't recognize him anyway. So it's like,
I think he said that. There might have been that might have been just like an odd thing on the script. But I feel like if I were to like peel back the layers, I feel like Mayfeld said that he could recognize me or whatever. I think he said it more out of he knows that if he were to go in there and that officer were to talk with him, that it could get rough very quickly, like how it actually ended up happening.
Yeah, well, I think
he didn't trust himself to be in there.
How it would be if I went on Twitter, don't go in there.
I think part of it also is that Mayfeld, to the individual stormtroopers and stuff, their commanding officers are important to them, obviously, and they look up to them. But to the officers, they're all the Imperial soldiers and people in lower positions are the same, So, like, the officer's not going to recognize Mayfeld because why would he? He's one of probably hundreds, if not thousands, of people that were under his command.
Exactly.
But Mayfeld, he knows this person. I think it's similar to a lot of things. There's people who are at the top of something and they're not going to recognize everyone below them, but everyone below them recognizes that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. True. But yeah, when he took off the helmet, it was like, part of me was like, oh no, you're sacrificing your beliefs. But at the same time, I thought, oh my God, Pedro, you're so hot.
Yeah. I was also like, ooh, his helmet is off.
He's so pretty. But yeah, I was just like, at the same time, I was like, oh man, he's doing this for Grogu. He's such a dad. I love it.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why this episode was called The Believer, was that this was like a really fundamental part of his beliefs. He hasn't even shown Grogu his face.
Yeah.
Even in season 1, when his helmet's taken off, he doesn't take it off. It's taken off for him, and he doesn't really have a choice. Mm. Where he was making the choice, and it was essentially an act of faith, and he was, because I would say there are parts of the Mandalorian Creed that are relevant here, the helmet for him, but also protecting of one's family. Like in season 1 when all the Mandalorians come to help Din, that's because he's their family, and Din has to, in that moment, he has to weigh. He's like, which parts of my creed are more important right now? And he chose family.
Wow, you're actually the first person to describe it in a way that it makes sense. The title makes sense that it's applying to him, because other people have said it and I'm like, I don't know. I wonder if the believer is someone else or something. But the way you said it, I applaud you.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of thinking just what she said, But yeah, he takes off his helmet and then the officer sees him and is like, hey, you, what's your name? What's your
designation? I'm like, Din, you couldn't come up with 3 random numbers?
Like literally, Ezra was like, oh yeah, TK 1 2 3 4 5.
He didn't know. He might have not known that what a designation, like what a number.
That's true. Yeah.
Why would he know that?
Yeah.
If Ezra can get away with it.
Well, yeah, but Ezra had been working directly against stormtroopers for quite some time at that point.
Very true, very true.
But
I do like that.
Known to come up with a number, a designation. That's could true. Be like a title or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do like that Mayfeld stepped in and then called them brown eyes.
Yeah, it's brown eyes.
That's cute. But yeah, he says like, he's deaf, like he can't hear well. And then the officer is yelling at him, like, he's deaf. But Well, at least
yeah,
it was like he's not deaf, but he's deaf. That's not what you do with a deaf person. You
hard of hearing. Yeah, but
Pedro Pascal's acting in that scene was incredible. He was
quiet.
He didn't say anything, but his facial expressions, and even the way someone else pointed this out. This is in my brain, but he never, when he's looking between Mayfeld and the officer talking, he doesn't just move his eyes because he's used to wearing his helmet.
Oh yeah,
he
moves
his whole head.
Yeah.
We know you can't see out the side of those helmets.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah, I really love how they did that.
Yeah, very cool attention to detail in this episode. And the show as a whole, I think, has had a lot of attention to detail when it comes to
and I really love that conversation between Mayfeld, Valen Hess, the officer, and well, actually, Din didn't say anything, but the conversation between those two was very intense, and it was leading somewhere.
Of how when I get in like passive aggressive arguments with people, because I have a friend, acquaintance person that like we kind of have different beliefs on certain things, and so like literally it just sounds exactly like that. I'm like, well, this happened and a lot of people died from this, and they're like, well, it's just a casualty, and I'm like, well,
so it was very passive aggressive. That's a great way of describing it.
It was really intense, and you could see like Mayfeld had like a mask on at first, like figuratively, trying to like still blend in with the Imperials so they can get in and get out like they planned. And as the officer continues talking, that he's slowly slipping that mask off and getting more and more angry until eventually he just gets fed up and shoots him. And there's like a moment. And it's like not funny, but it's very funny. Everyone just like freezes and looks at them, and Din his face looks horrified. He's like, why would you do that? And then they have to escape. And Mayfeld handed him a helmet as they were escaping. He was like, I didn't see your face, it's fine, which was very touching, especially because Mayfeld was the character
egging him on, like, take off the helmet.
Yeah, that was really antagonizing him in season 1 about the helmet.
Yeah.
So we'll see that turnaround, which is, it's great because, Din was very vulnerable in that moment. So it's great that Mayfeld was able to recognize that. And it gave, I didn't like Mayfeld from season 1.
Same.
Just because of the way he acted, but he definitely turned around. We got to see more of his humanity, and I don't know if that's like a result of him having to work in the camp or just now knowing what Mando is capable of and being a little bit afraid.
That and like he sees like that his like Mandalorian's culture is like never take off the helmet ever, but like he does for this kid that's like kind of his kid. So like I think he just sees that and then gets angry, is also angry at the Empire. So he's like, it's fine, it's fine. But I don't know. I thought it was very nice of him to do that. Instead of like go around and be like, huh, Kara, I saw his face.
Like rubbing it in.
Yeah, but they escape. They get picked up by the ship, and Mayfeld gets a really nice shot on like is it like a generator or something on the roof?
Oh, it was the truck. So he aimed at the truck.
Right. And it just like blows up the whole base.
Yeah. And so now technically no one has seen his face except everyone else is dead.
Pretty much, yeah. And one of the things I liked, because I always like it when people show a side to themselves that they didn't know they were capable of, or they're being given a second chance because of their actions. But I also feel like at the same time, there should be atonement for the actions committed by someone in the past, and like just because you do one good thing doesn't mean you're off the hook. So part of me is like, yeah, I really like that ending, but at the same time, I'm like, man, there also needs to be a little bit more of restorative justice taking place. Just because you do one good thing doesn't mean you're absolved of your sins.
A lot of Star Wars, to be honest, because they're like, well, you did one good thing, so that sounds cool. Because like Vader did a crap ton of horrible things, and then he kills the Emperor, and everyone's like, yeah, he's a good guy.
Well, I don't think everyone. I think Luke.
A lot of people.
Luke and solely Luke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the fandom.
I guess.
But just little things like that where people like that are horrible do something good for once, and everyone's like, yeah, they're cool. I'm like,
and that's why I like Callus's story, because even though we did see a gradual change where he was, providing information to the rebels that they needed. So I like that he was doing that, and then on top of it, when he was taken in by the rebels,
he was
actively doing things to help the Rebel Alliance. So
feels horrible for what he did.
Portrayed. Yeah,
he's like, the epilogue, he's like, he feels horrible for like wiping out, like committing genocide on Zeb's like species. But then he like sees like the Lasant that have survived, and he's like relieved, but I think he would also be like asking for forgiveness and stuff like that still. I don't know.
And I think knowing the character of Callus, that he wouldn't stop there just because he saw that there are still survivors. He's not going to stop, be like, oh yeah, I'm off the hook sort of a way. I think he's going to continue doing that kind of work because it's important, not just for those people, but for everyone else in the galaxy who's still suffering. And so that's why I feel like I part of me likes the ending to this episode, but but the other half of me is like, man, more should have been done.
Well, Din and Kara are talking like with Mayfeld, and they're like, it's a shame Mayfeld didn't make it out alive, and and I was like I knew they weren't going to kill him, but I was like, he thinks they're going to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, I would too.
That was funny.
He's standing there, and they're just going back and forth, and he's like, oh god.
He's like turning around. He's like, you good?
And then they just let him go, and he just scampers off into the forest.
Yeah, my thing was like, I thought they were gonna give him a ride somewhere.
Yeah, they give him a ride. I mean, I guess there's no more like Imperial, unless they have more bases on that planet. There isn't any more of an Imperial presence, so he can just go to that village, I guess.
Yeah.
He's still wearing the Imperial armor though. They're not gonna be fond of him.
But yeah.
So they go and they fly off, and they're ready to go find
Gideon because they have his coordinates.
Oh my god, you know what we missed in chapter 14? We missed, it was this episode, Grogu throwing around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was cute. I mean, it was very terrifying, but it was cute. So proud.
But yeah, I also like how he recognized the light, like a lightsaber, like he knows what that is.
Yeah.
It shows how powerful he is, even though he's a 50-year-old baby.
Yeah, 50-year-old baby. Yeah, and I thought it was funny because he like makes them like hit each other, and I was like, oh, Zeb would be proud.
That should be the end of the series. They go to Lyra San and give him the Zeb. That's there. And Zeb's like, oh, another Force child.
Give me. This one's green now, not blueberry.
Yeah.
But I think now we're at the finale. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
chapter 16, the rescue.
All right, so now we can use the notes.
Yes, the notes.
The massive notes.
Yes. So they're chasing in the Slave One, they're chasing an Imperial shuttle with Dr. Pershing. Is that his name? Dr. Pershing?
I think so.
I don't know his name. He's been in so many episodes and I can never remember his
really
name.
Kind of.
But he's there with two very mean Imperial pilots.
Well, one very mean
and one neutral.
Yeah. Neutral evil.
And they get boarded by the Slave One.
Mm-hmm.
And
and like one of the mean one holds Dr. Pershing like hostage, and then the other one's like, hey, I'm not with them, it's fine, and then he gets shot, and I was like,
the mean Imperial
shoots him.
So he's like, you don't want Dr. Pershing to die, right? And Kara shoots the guy in the face. Right in the face.
I mean, he was being a real jerk and being like, well, and
just where he was standing, I guess she couldn't have shot him anywhere else. But I was like, oh god.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
Taunting her, Alderaan was blown up.
I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying, we don't see people get shot right in the face, at least without a helmet on, very much in Star Wars.
I was gonna be like, Sabine got hit in the face by her own blaster. But yeah, that was already intense to begin with, and I was like, dang, okay.
So they land, they go to a planet.
A planet.
I don't know the planet.
Dad doesn't have notes on what planet it is.
Oh yeah, it doesn't actually. I don't think they say what's the name of the planet, which is what's frustrating. One of the frustrating things about the show is that I wish they would just put little captions of what the planet is.
Yeah, I like how Rogue One
and Solo both did that. Mm-hmm. I think Solo did it.
I wish it would. The show would do that.
Just all of Star Wars would do it.
Yeah. But they go and they find Bo and Casca Reeves, not Axe Wolves. I don't know
where he is.
But he's probably on another mission because I imagine Bo-Katan has several things going on, so she needs someone to handle something.
With Trapper Wolf.
Oh yes. My dad thinks that Axe Woes was named after Axel. Axel used to go by Axe for like a little, and so my dad was like, yeah, totally. Dave was like, yeah, Axel's a cool name. Like, let's just get rid of the L. It's fine. My dad's fun.
It is, but they find Bo and Casca, and it's just like a regular restaurant they're in. It's nothing like
but now there's 4 Mandalorians total in the restaurant.
And in true Mandalorian fashion, they start arguing with each other and attacking each other in the middle of this restaurant.
Yeah, Bo was kind of mean.
Very mean.
She was ruthless, but we have to remember that she was in Death Watch. And her main priority has been Mandalore, so I don't really see her comforting people's emotions or being kind to people.
Casca Reeves just starts fighting Boba Fett. Like, she just starts throwing hands.
because, like, they're also mean to Boba.
I know. Yeah. Well, and she's like, and Satine was like, well, you're not a real Mandalorian. Or Bo. Bo was like, you're not
dead.
No, they'll bring her back. You know what? She just got stabbed.
Yes.
They'll bring her back.
She'll have a Robo stomach.
Robo Satine. No. Coming to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is Robo Satine.
But Bo is like, well, I've heard your voice hundreds of times before, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah. So she's making fun of Boba for being a clone, which.
You mean your donor?
The clones helped her get Maul off order. Off.
But they probably were also instrumental in taking over Mandalore when Empire took over. So she probably has some gratitude towards them, but also a lot of hate towards them for what they.
Especially if she doesn't know about like the Order 66 thing.
I'm thinking if she has been in like any kind of contact with Ahsoka, because she knew where Ahsoka was. So if she's been in any kind of contact with Ahsoka at all, and if she was in contact with Sabine, who knew Rex. So I just, I guess I never cleared that up for her.
No.
But she's all over
ruthless.
Boba, which it reminded. She said he wasn't real Mandalorian, and he didn't really correct her. I think he just didn't feel like arguing with her because he showed Din evidence that Jango was a real Mandalorian.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think much.
So I think he was just like, okay, princess, like whatever.
It's kind of like I felt when in elementary school, because like everyone usually, because the community there is Hispanic, and so I looked very white, and so everyone was like, haha, gringa, like whatever, you're white, and I was like, okay, I don't really want to prove to you that I'm Mexican, just certain things, like, but with friends, like, I don't know, it kind of he just didn't want to
he just didn't
explain
feel like
it.
Yeah, and he doesn't feel a need to. And then I also like how I forgot my point completely, but yeah, I love that. No, that's fine. I do love how Boba just did not feel the need to explain himself, and
he also doesn't know who she is. And, I don't think.
He did call her princess.
He referenced her being a leader in the Kreese clan.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I do remember, but I think it's because Bo-Katan because she's even in Death Watch, she's always been someone who has been very focused on Mandalore. So anyone who veers off to do very selfish things, like Jango, who became a donor, who basically branched out and became his own person, even though he's Mandalorian, she says it herself, some of us like to serve a higher purpose.
Yeah.
Jango didn't serve that higher purpose. So she still looks down on people whose first and foremost thought is in Mandalore. So here's Boba Fett, the son of Jango Fett, someone who had veered off and done his own thing, and here's his son, who is a bounty hunter doing his own thing and not really having Mandalore as their primary goal.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the main thing that she was trying to hit on, but people took it for other things, and I saw a lot of Bo-Katan hate. I was like, can we get off of Bo-Katan's butt here?
I think Boba not correcting her on him being a real Mandalorian, I think to me that shows he's secure in himself as a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel the need to prove himself.
Yeah.
Bo, her, because I think it reminded me of in the Clone Wars when the Prime Minister, who wasn't really associated with Death Watch, what's his name? Almec,
yeah.
Associated with Death Watch yet at that point, but he was, I think Obi-Wan asked him about Jango, and he's like, no, Jango's not a real Mandalorian. And so even though Bo, really opposes herself to what Satine's government, at least not maybe as much anymore, but used to really oppose herself to what Satine's government represented, aligning with some of their beliefs in that way. And I think I know some people want Din or Sabine or someone else to rule Mandalore. I still want it to be Bo. I want her to get the Darksaber back.
And I should also add that I totally understand that Bo-Katan has done awful things in the past. She basically killed that town with the other Mandalorians and a friend in need. They killed the Poe people. I forget their name now, but the Ming Po. But I just I totally understand that she's done awful things, but I also feel like she's trying to make up for it in some way in her own maybe twisted way of trying to get Mandalore back.
I was trying to do earlier.
Yeah. So,
but I still want Bo to lead Mandalore, but I think if she has as much focus in the next season, I think she's going to need to have an arc about learning to accept all the facets of Mandalorian culture, and that not everyone feels about Mandalore the same way. I mean, we saw in Rebels that there was all those clans that she was uniting, and she needs to reach out to the clans that she maybe doesn't feel as great about, So Din's clan, she doesn't like their beliefs, and obviously Din's clan is mostly dead, but I'm sure there's more like them, where she has to reach out to them and be like, we have different views on what it means to be Mandalorian, but we're still Mandalorian, and we still need to be united and work together against this common enemy.
That's a great, awesome point, and something that I hope gets addressed in season 3, because there's a lot of different ways to be Mandalorian, and they need to accept that even though we have all these different ranges of beliefs, we need to be on the same page as to that we're Mandalorians. So I really hope they address that. That's a great point.
That reminds me of Sabine, because you don't see a lot of bright colored Mandalorians, and even her brother was another different hair, your armor is different, what the heck happened, completely different from her mom and her brother and stuff. But it also reminds me of when Sabine was younger and created the Duchess, that giant robot that destroys everything that isn't Beskar, right?
It heats up the Beskar
to burn the person, to disintegrate them. People have just made so much mistakes that they're trying their best. Well, the good ones are trying their best to redeem themselves in a way.
Yeah.
Much like Satine and everyone.
But I do love that Boba and Koska fight. I was like, oh snap, that's so cool.
Yeah, they had both their fire, their flame
their
things.
fire.
And then they both turn them off. I'm like, wow, you have a lot of trust in each other to turn them both off at the same time. Because if one person turned it off earlier, the other persons would just keep going.
Yeah.
So a lot of trust. I mean, I don't think they thought of it like that. I think that's a choreography thing. But I was like, wow, really a lot of trust.
But then they agree to take Bo to Gideon, and
she doesn't care about Grogu.
No,
she wants the Darksaber.
But
which I get.
They try to create this plan, and they have Dr. Pershing, and Dr. Pershing's like,
Dr. Pershing's very helpful. He's very giving with information.
Yeah, I think it's because he even in season 1 we saw that he didn't want to hurt the baby. He was actually very mindful of that.
I think he's a good person. I don't think he's part of like the Empire. I think he's just a scientist.
Yeah, well, I know he has like Kaminoan or something symbols, so like he's not specifically Imperial. I think what I've gotten from him, and he was a very like nervous, like composure.
Disposition, yeah.
Disposition is a better word. And to me that, except for really when he's talking to the Mandalorians. So to me, I think it's always, he's just like, he's only working with the Empire out of fear. Gideon is threatening him or has maybe some like blackmail or something on him, to where he's, he doesn't really want to do all this that he's doing. He's more devoted to like science and humanity more than anything else. He was just stuck working with the Empire.
Yeah.
Why would you want to hurt a thing like this?
That very cute baby.
But so they make their plan.
Yeah, and then Bo this whole time, like over and over, is like, I just want Gideon. I just want to make sure he surrenders to me, which I understand why, but she wouldn't explain that to anyone, which she doesn't need to, but like it would have been helpful.
Well, it might be similar to like, she just maybe thinks that like Cara and Fennec like wouldn't really like get it not being Mandalorians, and she thinks Din and Boba, I would assume Casca would know how and why.
Oh yeah.
But like she probably figures Din and Boba don't care about the specifics that much, because at least from her perspective, they don't really value Mandalore as a planet.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't, whether they do or not, she doesn't feel they do. So I feel like she just maybe didn't want to explain because she didn't think they would care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and she wouldn't have had to explain to Boba anyway, because Boba wasn't on the ship with them at all.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And she figured Din was focused on the baby. She was like, well, he's not going to worry about Gideon,
Yeah, I guess. But then they get on they have Boba, like, pretend to shoot them because they're in this Imperial ship. And, they start, like, trying to talk to, like, Gideon and, like, the Imperials on board and be like, oh, no, we're being attacked. Oh, no. And then they're like, okay, we're sending out TIE fighters. But that's the only place where, like, they could land, too.
Yeah, well, they had, their hangar is different than a lot of the Star Destroyer hangars we've seen, where they just have, like, one thing you can go in. Versus, like, a lot of them, I feel like the other ones we've seen have, like, a whole bunch of open ports.
Had one, and so they were like, oh well, and they just went for it, and I was very concerned that they were going to hit the TIE fighters that were coming out.
They did not.
And then Boba like shoots a couple of the TIE fighters, and then hyperspace off once they get in.
So they all break into the ship, and they all just go out. They start shooting right away.
But
they don't
Mando's,
even try to sneak or anything. Which
Mando's
they weren't dressed the part to do undercover or anything.
To be sneaky.
I guess they had pretty much 30 seconds until someone came up to the ship to greet them. So they just, got on top first.
Yeah.
We had a really cool like girl squad this episode.
That was nice.
Bo, Casca, Fennec, and Cara all going through.
And again, I was trying to remove Gina from Cara so I could just enjoy a cool moment of just women. But it reminded, because since it was a finale, it kind of reminded me, you guys haven't seen, have you guys seen the last Avengers movie, Endgame?
Oh, I have, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't.
I think I've absorbed the movie through cultural osmosis at this point. So,
okay, well, spoilers for Endgame. There's the huge fight scene, and it's like everyone, and then there's the next scene, and it's just all the women. The women that go out and start fighting. I was like crying, like that was so cool.
That was cool.
Reminded me of this scene, even though it was only 4 girls. They were so cool and super like helping out each other and stuff.
And it didn't feel like forced in any way.
No.
Like it felt like a natural assembly of characters who working together.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're going for the bridge and just taking out every Imperial, while Din is going to go the baby.
Well, he's also trying to like shut down the dark troopers too, which they're terrifying.
Yeah,
they are.
They wake up and he gets the door closed, except one is able to push it open and get through. And it just, it's just like it was horrible to watch. He just starts banging him against the wall,
punching
and
him.
like his head was just like further denting into the wall, and I was like,
I was surprised that his face wasn't broken.
That's brain damage.
But then he like tries everything. It's kind of like how I feel when I'm trying to defeat a boss, and I'm like just using all the weapons I have to see what works. But he uses fire, and I'm like, no, now it's just scarier.
That's just hot metal, but he's able to get a hold of his spear because he dropped it when the droid first came at him, and then he's able to stab it
in the neck.
Yeah.
And then he to me, at first I was like, yeah, he got rid of them all because he opens the
airlock.
Yeah.
Which was reminded me of in the first episode Bo showed up in where they did the same thing to the Imperials.
Yeah. But these can fly and they don't need air. So I was like, well, they're gonna come back soon. But yeah, that was
he goes
fun.
and he goes to find the baby.
Yeah, but Gideon is not on the bridge when the girls are on the bridge. Yeah. And Bo's like, well, that's not good. And he has the Darksaber to Grogu's head.
Evil.
Very evil.
Wait, we can reenact it. Hold on.
You need to reenact it.
Oh, I want to reenact it.
Oh my gosh, you do have the Darksaber and poor Baby Yoda.
No longer a good mother. I shall.
Sorry, I just got excited when I saw the picture. No one listening to the podcast can hear that, but
it's fine.
For the record, I have the Hasbro Darksaber from Target, and I just held it to my Baby Yoda. Also, I got a lot of things at Target.
Horrible.
But anyway, so Gideon has the Darksaber, and Gideon kind of talks a little bit. I think he's about oh, this is the Darksaber, blah blah blah, and Din is just like, cool.
Yeah, he's
I have my
cool.
baby.
Yeah, and then Gideon's like, all right, fine, sure.
Yeah, Gideon's like, all right, well, I got his blood, and so Din's great. And
can I just have the baby now?
Yeah. So he goes, and of course Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito just swings at him, but luckily he has a Beskar jetpack.
All the Beskar.
Boba Fett's jetpack must not be Beskar.
No,
because Han was able to mark it up, but.
Yeah. Han? Han.
Yeah,
Han.
Yeah.
Han. Yes.
So Din is able to get pull his spear out, and they fight, and it's really cool.
It is.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
The entire time I was like, oh no, Bo's not gonna like this at all.
Yeah, and so the baby just sat there the whole time.
Yeah.
So he fights, and finally Din is able to disarm him essentially and take the Darksaber from him. And
then he spares his life because Kara wants him alive, and I think
Kara wants to take him to the New Republic to be interrogated about stuff.
And if he's brought back alive, that's more money.
Yes, that too.
So but then Bo they take him, and then my dad screenshot the best Bo face.
Poor Bo. Bo looks a little horrified.
Yeah.
They get to the bridge, and he has the Darksaber in one hand and Baby Yoda in the other arm. He's dragging Moff Gideon, and Bo looks horrified, and Gideon just starts because he knows,
Yeah, he knows that
now Bo's Din tries to give it to her. He's like, here you go, and she's like, no, I have to fight you for it. Yeah. And he's like, okay, I forfeit. Here you go. But,
that was so funny.
I'm just wondering if they're going to explore why she took it from Sabine.
Yeah, that's what I think it's saying.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who watch Rebels were thinking about it. I was thinking about it as well. I think it comes down to the fact that Sabine found the Darksaber in Maul's lair. And so she didn't really win it. She didn't earn it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she fought Saxon, but the thing is she didn't kill Saxon. Ursa did. And Ursa intervened. So she ended up breaking a few rules herself. So neither of them really earned it.
I mean, technically the Mando wouldn't have earned it either because he didn't kill Gideon.
Yeah.
He didn't kill Gideon, but he disarmed him himself. Yeah. I don't think Sabine disarmed what's his name?
She disarmed
Saxon?
Because she had at the end, the last shot of that fight, she has both the Ezra's lightsaber and the dark saber, and she does disarm him. So
well, I think it's
I don't know. I feel like maybe Bo. My current theory, I guess, is that Bo feels like she lost the saber,
so she has to earn it back
to get it back from him specifically.
That might make more sense. I don't know.
Because she was a little hesitant taking it from Sabine, though she did end up taking it.
Yeah.
But I think for Bo, at a certain point for Bo with Gideon and the Darksaber, it becomes less about maybe the tradition for her and more about like
she wanted to
proving
defeat
herself.
Him.
You know,
yeah, exactly.
Like whatever happened that she lost it to Gideon, and whatever happened with Mandalore, I think she feels like she failed and needs to prove it more to herself. And feels like she needs to prove it to other Mandalorians, whether or not they really need her to win it back, you know, for herself. I think she needs to do that.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get that explored in season 3.
Yeah, I hope so. Although it'd be really interesting to see how she ends up getting it back from Din, because that's going to involve I can't wait. I'm excited for all the Mandalore stuff.
It's going to be difficult because I can't imagine Din changing his mind and wanting it. I don't think that's his character.
I would hope not.
It's just essentially going to be her like, all right, we have to fight for it, and he's like, I don't, just take it. I don't want it, you know. So it'll be interesting how that's handled. I saw someone draw them doing like a thumb war for it, which is funny.
That's a good one.
Not that they'll do that, but I like that. But it's interesting because I don't really want Din to lead Mandalore. I don't think Din wants Din to lead Mandalore. So I think Bo is the best leader that Mandalore can have, really.
Oh, bless you.
Don't mind me.
Bringing viruses into my house.
I'm so sorry.
But so it's interesting where that's going to go. But we don't have too much time to dwell on it before the droids come back.
Yeah,
because they fly.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They fly now.
and they get back.
Yeah, and they do a lot of punching. They punch in that wall.
I will say, they have these like incredibly powerful droids, but they're not very well armed. Like you couldn't have given them like better blasters or like a blade or something. Like they
a blade would have been cool.
I mean, I guess maybe that's part of the Empire, you know, kind of being, I guess, like underfunded and stuff now. But like, just feels like you couldn't, like, they have like tiny little blaster pistols. Like, give at least some of them like a rifle or something, like, or put the guns in their hands like the Separatist droids.
Yeah,
it's like a toy where it's just stuck there. In their hand,
like something. But anyway, so they get to the door and everybody's standing there.
And then Gideon's like, haha, you guys will be dead. Teehee, haha.
Gideon, someone dropped their blaster, and Gideon, like...
I think, there's a bunch of people on that bridge. Of course,
one of the Imperial blasters. Gideon kind of, like, looks around, like, grabs it off the floor.
Yeah, and then there was a singular X-Wing. And, like, once I saw that, I was like, oh, because I was waiting for more X-Wings to come. But then there was only one.
Wolf. I was like, it's Trapper Wolf.
I was like, oh my god, if it's Trapper Wolf, and all of a sudden he's a Jedi, I'd be fine with that. But it's just a singular one. I was like, oh, okay, I know who it is now.
Yeah, I was like, oh, a single X-wing, we're safe. And then they go through, and they have
and Baby Yoda, Grogu, like, senses it.
Yeah, he goes up to the surveillance
the monitor,
screen, and he's like watching, and there's a hooded Jedi slicing through all the droids with the green lightsaber.
So when I first thought, you know Steel, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So first thing I thought was ignite the green. Oh, yeah. Steel's gonna be so happy.
Although part of me, and actually I saw a TikTok of a kid who really wanted it to be Ezra. Yeah. So when I saw it, I thought, oh my god, is that Ezra? And then I saw glove, and I thought, damn it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't really want it. I don't want any more after Ahsoka, which we talked about. I don't know if I want the Ghost Crew in live action. I want my animated Rebel sequel.
Okay,
me too.
Can you imagine if it was Ezra and it was animated?
Honestly, I think they should just you know how it's like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, just animate the character.
Fine.
No, but I definitely want my Rebel sequel. sequel and an animated show for sure.
Yes. And then I thought it was funny. I was like, oh my god, what if it's Quinlan?
Oh my god, I think your dad would have just had a stroke. Like
he would have. Because I was like, I mean, who else has a green lightsaber?
Yeah, no, but it was an X-wing, so you know it was Luke. And I was like watching Luke go through, and I was like, I wonder who's playing him like the whole time. And then, and then it's just Mark Hamill, which like good. But
well,
like,
it was CGI, I thought.
Well, it was Mark Hamill. Just voice. I think they did what they did for like Samuel Jackson in Captain Marvel, where they like de-age his face.
Mm. Oh, right. Yes.
But anyway, so Luke he's like cutting through the droids, and people have put it side by side with Vader in Rogue One. Yeah. Which is a cool parallel.
Oh my god.
Going through the hallway.
Gideon's face is he's so scared.
Yeah.
Like because Bo's like a Jedi. He's like, oh no.
Yeah. So he has his pistol, and he just like
he straight up shoots Bo like 4 times.
And then he tries to shoot the baby, and Din like jumps. He's like, no.
He jumps.
My baby.
And then he tries to shoot himself, and then Kara's like, no.
Kara stops him.
Yeah.
And then Luke gets to the door, and he takes his hood off, and it's CGI Mark Hamill.
Mm-hmm. That was really.
It was good. I think. I thought the CGI looked good.
Mm-hmm.
The more I look at it, the less I think it looks good looking at pictures.
Yeah.
But within the show itself, like while watching it, I was like, oh my god, that looks amazing.
That's how I felt with the CGI Leia in Rise of Skywalker. Like at first I'm like, ooh, and then after I'm like,
yeah. Well, and I think they played it smart, because I think they kind of figured that's how it would be for people. Because most of the time, even after he takes his hood off, he's like, his head is out of frame.
Yeah.
A lot of shots where it's just a reaction shot of the other characters, or it's like below his neck. So I think they knew, like, they're like, this looks good, but not good enough
for an extended period of time. Yeah.
So I think that's the same. Like Leia in Rogue One is a very quick shot, and I think that CGI of Leia in Rogue One is beautiful.
And it's in the dark.
But it's not Rise of Skywalker from Rogue One at the end of Rogue One.
Right, might be.
But that's like a very quick shot, and I think it's
Yeah. I did like. Oh, do you guys know Sebastian Stan?
Yeah.
Okay, he looks like. I don't know if it's just me, but he looks like 100% like Mark Hamill to me.
I think he doesn't have the body type. I think he's too big.
I think he's too tall and too wide. Yeah.
Wide.
Shoulder length. I mean.
I put on a prototype of Mark Hamill's one of his outfits, and like it fit me perfectly, and I was like, I guess this is how like big and short he is. I don't know.
Yeah, but so Luke's there, and he's like, I'm gonna take Grogu, and I'm like, no.
His face is so similar though.
Kind of, yeah. I don't think he has the right body type.
Yeah.
Which I think is more important than it like may seem. Like that picture, it's like, oh, that's him. But I think wearing the costume I think would throw people off a little bit, like seeing him on screen.
Buff Luke.
Maybe I'm too sensitive to that kind of thing. I don't know.
Oh no.
But anyway, so he's gonna take Grogu, but Grogu's like, no.
Well, kind of, because he wants to, like. It's kind of how I felt when I went to school, like in New York. I was like, I want to go, but like it'll make my parents sad if I go. Like, can I go? And then my parents were like, yes, of course. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I just go with Luke.
So Luke says like, oh, he needs your permission. So he picks Baby Yoda up, and Baby Yoda takes the helmet off.
Yeah. Din, are you okay? He takes the helmet off, and his little hand, his little Baby Yoda hand touches his face.
Aw, so sad.
I cried. I was like, oh.
It was sad. I really was just, like at 7:00 in the morning, like, oh God, why am I crying this early in the day? Yeah.
Always crying.
Aw.
It's okay. We all loved it, and it was very sad. And then R2 comes up, and R2 beeps at Grogu. And it's very cute. Do you think they would have met before? I mean, if...
I don't think Grogu... R2 hung around the Jedi Temple too much besides with Anakin.
Yeah, I guess so. Or he's just like another little Yoda.
Yeah, because he saw Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, and of course they had that adventure in Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, I don't know it would be cool if Grogu knew R2, but I don't think so. But yeah, so they
and then Grogu says uppy to Luke. And Luke picks him up and is like, I'll protect him with my life. And I'm like, I hope to God you do.
Yeah, and I hope, I'm not sure how I feel about him going with Luke personally. I would like him to go back with Din. I just feel like the heart of the show since the beginning was Grogu and Din, and I'm not sure if they just take Grogu out indefinitely, if it's going to feel like the same show anymore, to be honest.
I mean, that one episode, chapter 15, we had, and it was like no Grogu except like towards the end. It was like so weird.
It was all about getting him back. Like, and I think now that, and I think without Grogu, I mean, what does Din have anymore? He doesn't have his commune. He doesn't have his ship. He has nothing. He has the Darksaber, which he doesn't want.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
So I wonder. I would like. My dad is like 100% sure they're gonna bring him back. I'm sure they'll bring him back.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure the amount of money they've made off of not the Mandalorian, but Grogu alone, the amount of money they've probably made off of him is probably beyond my comprehension. So I'm sure they'll bring him back, but it was very sad. And I guess I'm looking forward to season 3, seeing where they go. And I definitely want Grogu to make it out before Kylo Ren does his thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't need another reason to hate Kylo Ren. Like
same.
My thing was like, my dad was like, what if Quinlan Voss wakes up yet again just to save Grogu?
I think Grogu, like Kylo Ren's gonna come to Jedi school and Grogu's like, Dad, pick me up.
I'm scared.
But we'll see where it goes. My dad said he thinks Grogu is gonna be like really stubborn and resistant to Luke, and Luke's just gonna be like, take your baby. I
can't keep him.
I can't do this. We'll see where it goes for sure. And I think I do wish I said, and I know other people have said this, that I wish he had given him the ball, because we knew he has the ball back. And the ball has been, especially this season, but in first season too, has been like a motif, really, of their relationship with each other.
I guess it was because it would be a reminder for Din rather than for...
No, but Grogu doesn't have a reminder.
No, that's true.
But, unless he still has the necklace. I don't know if he still has the necklace or not.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't show it, so...
they never showed him taking it off.
Yeah, but he doesn't have it on, so like, where does he? I know, but his robe's not very big. He can't hide a whole necklace on. But anyway, I think I said like, oh, I wish you would have given him the ball. I think that would have been a nice way to tie up that like symbol, But then my dad said, well, what if next season Din still uses the ball to like, remember Grogu, and that brings them back together. Like that's like a symbol of them coming back together, and he can give him the ball when they reunite. Which I think that was something. Don't take it off of him.
I'm not taking it off. I'm just grabbing his legless body.
Okay. But I think what I really missed this episode was there wasn't like a big reunion for them. Like when he after he defeats Gideon, he picks the baby up off screen. We don't see the reunion. True. Which I think
would have been cute.
I think it would have been great. I think it would have been a nice addition to the episode as like pacing wise, because I think with rescue, Star Wars has a lot of rescue operation episodes and scenes and stuff, and it's always nice when like the rescuer and the rescuee get to find each other even before they're out of danger, and you have that moment of relief, like okay, they're together. We have that. I think the best example I think is in Rebels when Ezra and Kanan reunite.
I was thinking of the first time when like Ezra gets excited, like, oh, they came back for me. Like that was like.
Well, I was just thinking just because in the end of Rebels when Ezra and Kanan reunite, and even though they're not out of danger, they finally got back together, and like they're finally there's like a moment, even though you know they have to jump back into the action later and they have to fight the Inquisitor. There's like that moment where like, okay, things are looking up, you know.
Yeah.
And we didn't really get that, you know. It was just constant tension until the end, which is valid, I guess, but I would have liked that moment to breathe, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked Dips. There's still a little bit more, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I felt sad and scared for Grogu and Din. And it seems like that's it with his helmet. Like he technically
in front of
everyone, which like they would only see the back of his head, but like still, yeah, like I think that's it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we'll see, you know, how that's going to affect his beliefs next season.
So true.
I think this episode, I liked it, but it didn't, I don't know, I felt like the first season's finale was like flawless, and it felt like the perfect culmination of the whole season and like everything coming together, and it's this great like emotional like catharsis, and it was great. And I didn't really feel that way after this. And I think after this episode, and I think part of it is someone said that The Mandalorian might be like, we don't know how many seasons it's going to run, but it could run as like a pseudo trilogy, at least the first 3 episodes, where the first season is Our New Hope, and it ends in like a really positive note, like we made some sacrifices, but things are great and looking up. And then season 2 ends on a more bittersweet note, you know?
Yeah.
And I think so we'll see how season 3 ends if that continues the pattern.
That would be interesting.
We'll see. But there's
a little
an after credit scene, which I almost missed it because I ran away crying. I went up to my room to cry, and my dad's like, "Wait, Zoe, come down. There's another scene."
Aww.
So it's on
Tatooine. It's Tatooine. It's Jabba's palace, but now it was technically
it's Bib Fortuna's palace.
Yeah, and he's like chilling there, and then Fennec comes down and shoots everyone and sets the dancer free. And then Boba comes in, and I thought it was funny because what's his face? Bib Fortuna's like, Boba, I thought you were dead. We heard stories, and I was like, that's the fandom when Boba came back.
Yeah, Boba shoots Bib Fortuna and takes the throne with Fennec sitting next to him.
Yeah.
And I know this is mean, but I'm glad Bib Fortuna's dead because he always freaked me out as a kid. I don't like his face very much. Not that you deserve to die if you have a bad face or whatever. But, and then it's the Book of Boba Fett, December 2021 is the last scene. Which is cool. I'm excited. Boba Fett series. I want Hondo in it.
I
want Hondo.
Hondo makes everything better.
Hondo. I think Cad Bane could show up in it though. I think because you mentioned earlier there's a Clone Wars scene with Cad and Boba, and that was cut, you know, from the final series. But so I think, you know, we could see Cad Bane here. Obviously can't have the same scene from the Clone Wars, but references to it.
Yeah.
Or something similar. I think Boba Fett series has the potential to be really fun. It looks like, to me at least, it'll be delving into more like crime lord areas of things, which we really don't explore in depth all that much.
Yeah.
I'd say the closest would be in Solo and in the Clone Wars with Maul towards the end of that series. But
yeah,
it'll be interesting to have a series dedicated to it.
Yeah. And also, so do you guys think it's not season 3 then?
No, it's not. Because someone was asking, I think Brendan Wayne, who plays Jim, and he said, he's like, no, of course Pedro's still the main character of Mandalorian season 3.
That's good.
Like,
yeah, I'm curious if they've already recorded what they've needed to record. So, I guess we'll have to wait till December for Book of Boba Fett, but then hopefully
I doubt they've recorded the series, at least much of it, because I mean Mando season 2 came out in the fall and didn't wrap up recording until slightly before the pandemic.
Right.
So
that's true.
Yeah, so I guess maybe they'll play them alternate them.
Maybe it'll be interesting how they do things.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for that series. Boba Fett has never been a character that I was like super into. Not that I dislike him, but I know like some people like really like all about Boba Fett, and that was never really me.
The only Boba Fett I liked was young Boba Fett. That's the only one I was really very interested in.
It's exciting to see, we could even have, clones if they want to copy paste a bunch of Tamora Morrison. We could have some old clones in there. I think there probably aren't very many left.
No, I don't think so. Except like Kix, but not even
Kix
right
is
now.
Frozen.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could have like Rex and Wolf and some of the clones could still be kicking. They'd be very feeble and old, I think, at this point. But they could still be hanging around and we could see them maybe. I doubt it, but it would be cool.
Yeah.
Just lots of fun things. I just want Hondo. I really want Hondo.
That would be interesting.
Well, and I think, because they have Hondo in Galaxy's Edge, so they have like a live action look for him already.
Yeah,
so
it looks cool. I mean, it doesn't make me go, ooh, what the heck? That's Hondo, because it looks like him.
Yeah.
But my dad should do Hondo. If my dad should hire, or Disney should hire my dad
to be Hondo.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd like that a lot.
I'm sure he would.
Yeah. So Book of Boba Fett. More Ming-Na Wen, which is great because I love Ming-Na Wen.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
And speaking of Ming-Na Wen, she's going to be the voice of Fennec Shan in the Bad Batch series, which was announced at the Disney investors meeting.
Yay!
Which that series looks really good. I'm like that. Like that's in a Clone Wars style. I mean, like more clones. I want to know what happened to Commander Cody.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's in there.
That would be cool.
I know it's gonna be like. It's weird because like it's like about the Bad Batch, but I'm not excited about it for the Bad Batch as much as I'm excited about it for like the other clones to know what's happening. After what?
Order 66? Like they have
it's Imperial
okay.
clones.
That's good. Well,
so
kind of. Yeah.
I want to know what happened to Commander Cody.
Just hope they're okay.
So
but yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I
think.
Do you want to talk about the other series that were announced? Because there was a lot of series announced.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have many thoughts on them other than that sounds interesting. I think my only main concern is I think people, the creators and everyone who's involved in these big projects are very have been very taken by that volume thing that they've been working in. And I think I don't want to say that they're losing sight of their animated shows, but that's what it feels like, where it's a lot of the priorities are being given to live action content now because of the success of The Mandalorian. And as cool as that sounds, a big portion of the fandom is here today because of the animated shows. And I would feel very disappointed if the animation department starts to wind down where, it's down to like one series and then that's it. And I hope that's not the case, because I was very honest on Twitter when I said that if the animated Star Wars stops, that's the moment where I move on to other things. And I don't really stick around for the Star Wars fandom because the animated shows are the thing that keep me going in the Star Wars fandom.
I have to agree. And I think personally, animation is for Star Wars specifically is almost better because they have fewer like limitations as far as like physics, The
only thing that's limiting them are budgets. If you give them the budgets, they can go anywhere, do anything.
They don't have to make Ahsoka's montrals shorter so that way she could fight.
We're not getting back into that.
Just saying.
but like with animation too, and I think it's not even just like costume and like alien things, like you said, it's also like environments, like the volume is beautiful and they can do a lot with it. But even with the volume, you look at The Mandalorian and all of the sets are really naturalistic, you know, for sand planets and forest planets and rocky planets and
things that are easy to produce in that environment. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, Star Wars has been doing that since the beginning. But with like the Clone Wars and Rebels, we get beautiful planets like Felucia. What's Anaxis? Is that the name?
Yeah.
Anaxis. I would say in Rebels, a place like
to me just Lothal. Like it has those huge mountain things.
Well, they could do that in the volume, but I think like some of the bigger, like really beautiful cities in Rebels, Takaba, the one is what I was thinking of. Or even Chopper Base.
Chopper Base, yeah,
and we see these really beautiful, really creative environments and planets because they can do that in animation, and they can do that in live action. Felucia first showed up in Attack of the Clones, and I would say Crate a little bit is a more creative kind of planet in The Last Jedi, but it's a lot easier, I guess, to do. Not that animation is easy, but like they're not as defined by the limits. And the same thing with animation too, is that like characters can have more bright colors and it looks better in animation, you know, like they've, at least in the more recent films and live action shows, it's all been very like, even the aliens, even the Twi'leks are all like human skin tones or like shades of like beige, you know.
Yeah
And it's I don't want to say boring to look at because there's a lot of beautiful designs, but it's a little boring to look at, you know? Like
it is
not as palace. And this isn't as much an issue with live action because like, I think the prequels and originals did this better. But, like you look at Maz Kanata's palace and it's gorgeous, but all the aliens are just brown, you know, or a little orange or like slightly green tones.
Slightly red.
Where you look at like in A New Hope, you look at like the cantina and there's like all these different colors, you know, and especially in Rebels, you look at Old Joe's, there's all different color aliens, you know. I think we lose that with what they've been doing going forward.
Yeah, and then especially with having a live action Ahsoka and making it just Rosario Dawson, I was like, ugh, okay.
I don't want to dwell on the Ahsoka show.
Right.
I think my thoughts on the Ahsoka episode should inform you to how I feel.
Yeah, same.
Live action Ahsoka show. I would like them to fix the Montrals. I know they won't, but like just like use CGI. Put green tape on the ends and CGI them longer because
I can't handle it otherwise.
Get a different actress.
Like I get stunts. Like I get stunts, you know? Like I've done movies and stuff with stunts. You have to make sacrifices, you know? But to me that's not like a costume change or a hairstyle change. That's like a part of her biology.
Her character, exactly. Yeah, her experience.
Essentially made her like they're like early Clone Wars. Like you look at like the Siege of Mandalore, Ahsoka, and when she's 17, they're longer than they are in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and you know what? I hate to say this because Shaak Ti was a background character, but if they could do Shaak Ti in the Battle of Geonosis in Attack of the Clones, like...
Yeah, it's true. It's all true.
I don't want to hear about budget concerns from...
Me neither. Not when Disney's backing it up.
I get it, like, but the amount of what... You know, and it's not like an animation when they, like, copy character models. That's different to me. Because it doesn't matter. But when it comes to stuff that matters, I don't want to hear about budget cuts, you know?
Yeah.
Like, ask Daddy Mouse, because you're not getting any sympathy from me.
I always feel, lately I've been feeling weird because they're trying to, like, bring out so many different shows, mostly live action.
To me, I was thinking about that, but I would guarantee that over half of the shows they announced at Disney Investor Night were supposed to be announced
celebration.
5 days of celebration. So it felt like a lot that night when they were announcing it all, but I was like, well, they didn't mean to announce it. I'm sure they mean to announce this all at once. So I was like, all right,
but it's also still just like, I don't know. Lately it just feels weird because I didn't like Rise of Skywalker, and like me, I'm always like, yeah, I love every Star Wars, and then it just feels so weird to dislike something Star Wars because I'm not used to not liking something Star Wars, and so then like didn't like that they keep using Rosario Dawson, and now I'm like, oh,
Well,
okay.
and the thing with the Ahsoka series that bothers me is like if you gave me the same exact series but animated, I would love it. I would be like, I wouldn't shut up about it from now until whenever it comes out, you know?
Using Ashley Eckstein
too. I hope God, if they need a voice for Ahsoka and they use Rosario instead of Ashley, I'm gonna be really. I mean, I'm sure Ashley's very nice about it. And she's not like, but I'm a little bit like, I'll avenge you, Ashley.
I will.
Like Ashley's. I don't know how Ashley feels. I don't know how she feels about it personally because I don't know her.
Right.
But whether she, however she feels about it, I'm angry on her behalf.
On her behalf, yes.
But
I will visually look angry for her.
But, I mean, I'm gonna watch it anyway. Like I'm like, I don't want this, but like I'm gonna watch it. But we'll see. Hopefully it'll have a good enough story, I guess, to redeem itself for me. Hopefully they'll make costume changes that redeem itself for me. It looks like, I know they said that the Ahsoka series and the Rangers of the New Republic series that were both announced, they're gonna have them running with the Mandalorian season 3 and do like a crossover event, like how like the CW superhero shows or the Marvel shows do. I'm a little apprehensive about that because that just seems like a lot, but we'll see how they handle it,
Yeah.
Some people are like, oh, it's going to be Thrawn. I'm like, no, not Thrawn. Not because I don't have a particular aversion to seeing Thrawn in live action. I know I said I don't want the Ghost Girl in live action, but I don't care if I see Thrawn or not. I just don't want them to, like, resolve the Rebels storyline, set the storyline that Rebels set up without it being, like, an animated thing of its own,
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Rangers of the New Republic looks interesting.
Yeah.
So there's Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, Andor.
There was a sizzle reel, but we already knew that was.
I'm actually kind of excited
we already
for that
knew
one.
about Andor. I'm excited for Andor. I think we know casting with a Fulcrum agent, so I think we could see Callus in that, which would be cool.
That would be interesting.
I would like to see. I forget the name. What's his name that plays Callus in Rebels?
Oh, David Oyelowo, his voice.
I know some people said that he should play Callus, and you know what? I'm kind of fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. And even if they decide to go in the route of how he's portrayed visually, I would still like David Oyelowo to play a different character.
Yeah, he could even just be like an assistant to Callus or something, just like have a presence, I think we talked about with the Ahsoka episode, we wish Ashley had been there,
Exactly.
And maybe she'll have involvement in the Ahsoka series.
I would hope.
That would make me feel better about it, personally, at least.
I would just be more confused, especially if like Ashley's talking. I'm like, which one's the Ahsoka?
No, yeah, I don't think Ashley could talk. Even like, because like I have met Ashley a few times, and even when she talks in her normal voice, you can hear Ahsoka. Like there's some voice actors, like when you talk to like Steve Bloom, you don't really hear Zeb unless he's doing Zeb. But when you talk, I would say like Ashley, Tia, and Taylor, a little bit Freddie Prinze Jr. and Vanessa Marshall a little bit. You can hear like their Rebels characters in their voices. Especially, I think Ashley's the strongest one of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think she couldn't talk because then it'd be like, it would just further remind me that Rosario Dawson's like not Ahsoka in my head.
Yeah.
But
so again, Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, Andor, Kenobi,
which we already knew about,
and Bad Batch and Visions, which is an animated short films, which I think is cute. From the world's best Japanese anime creators, which I think would be cool because Miyazaki, who does Studio Ghibli things, is very, very good at all these things. And I've seen like in Star Wars and in like Ghibli, like they both have like at least when Dave Filoni is doing Rebels and stuff, they both are really good at like getting things that are happening in real life, like pollution and stuff, and put it into their stories and to like make people more aware of these kinds of things. So I'm just excited for
so
that one.
The new thing they announced with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which we already knew was happening with Ewan McGregor, is that they announced Hayden Christensen would be in it as Darth Vader. So I wonder how that's going to manifest, because you can't really have Vader and Obi-Wan like meet and do a duel in the series, so it'll be interesting how Vader, what his presence is in that series, and I'm still curious to know exactly what Obi-Wan's like gonna be doing.
Yeah, I'm curious.
So we'll see. I'm excited. It takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So I know some people said they wanted to see a redo of the Obi-Wan and Maul fight, which I didn't want. But some people did.
I don't think it's necessary.
Now.
I think the reason they wanted to redo it is probably because it was so short. But I think it's really good short.
Yeah, yeah. And if it's 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, then it's nowhere near that point in time.
10 years. So Luke will be 10 years old. So baby Luke.
Baby
Luke.
But there's also Willow, which I think it's cool. I mean, it's the same title as the other movie, Willow.
Yeah, well, I imagine it's like a spin-off sequel thing.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's cool. They have Visions. I'm
with
excited
Warwick
for Visions.
Davis. Yeah.
Just looking at the logo of Visions, it looks like either water or like paint. So it's interesting to see what that.
Well, because I wonder, because in the last episode we did, I was talking about like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they had a show with different like animators and stuff. And I think that's what this is, because it's just it's so pretty.
It'll be cool. Another announcement that they don't have on their Instagram, which is what we're looking off right now, was they announced a Lando series.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm really excited about.
Will it
I love
have...
Lando. I don't think they specified if it'll be Donald Glover or Billy D. Williams. The logo is like a blue and yellow, which to me reads Donald Glover Lando.
Yeah.
But
cool.
my dad thinks it could like go back and forth and be like Billy D, like maybe telling stories about Donald Glover Lando.
That'd be cool.
Or
that would be interesting.
he said it could be him talking into his like recorder thing, like he doesn't like Lando doesn't solo. I think it could also be him talking to Jannah, because he and Jannah go off together at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. Lando series. There's like some kind of droid series that was also announced. Which
so many.
I know, so many. Which I think the droid series was supposed to be animated, which it reminds me of the old droid series, the cartoon. It was a cartoon I watched when I was a kid growing up. It was bizarre, but I don't know if either of you did you watch the old droids cartoon?
No.
I should rewatch it. We have the DVDs, but yeah, it was a very weird series. And they announced they didn't really give specifics, but Taika Waititi's film is still in production. I think he's writing it. I wonder if that'll be thrown off the schedule-wise, because Thor: Love and Thunder has now been pushed back because of the pandemic, and obviously Taika has a lot of involvement in that film. So I wonder if that'll affect anything, because obviously they're both Disney properties. So hopefully they can work together to figure something out on that. And they also announced Patty Jenkins is doing a movie called Rogue Squadron.
Yeah. Which is supposed to be not during the Rebellion era. I think it's supposed to be in the sequel era. Yeah.
So it's interesting how that will go. I love Patty Jenkins her film the Wonder Woman she did. Wonder Woman 84. Is that out?
I don't think so. I think it comes out this week or this week.
The new one, right? Yeah. It comes out Christmas on HBO Max.
Okay. But that looks good, so I'm excited to see what she'll do with that. It'll be the first Star Wars film directed by a woman.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It took very long.
Took a long time for that to happen, Oh well.
We're here, And Taika's film's remarkable too, because it will be the first Star Wars film directed by a man of color, which is also important.
Yeah. I've been liking Taika's movies, just like outside of Star. Have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
Yes, I love Taika Waititi. I am in love with that man.
Okay, but like Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok, of course. Okay, I'm in love with Taika Waititi. What we do in the shadows, just everything that man does.
I haven't seen that one.
I love him.
Oh, wait.
Not the series. Not the series. The movie that the series was based on.
Yes, I know that one too. With vampires. And I didn't finish it because vampires.
Yes. But I love him.
He's really
I'm so excited.
He's very good.
He directed the finale of The Mandalorian, because I know some people, when his movie I think was announced before The Mandalorian season 1 finished, and I know someone saying like, oh, I love what he did with Thor, but I'm worried that won't mesh well with Star Wars. But to me, I think his episode of The Mandalorian showed that he can, I guess, tone it down, I guess would be appropriate for Star Wars, and include elements of like what he does along with like the elements we know and love of Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that like, which one is he directing?
They didn't give any specifics.
Oh, just that he's directing.
Yeah,
something?
He's writing something. I'm excited. Now that we have a Lando series, I always said I wanted him to do something with Donald Glover's Lando, because I think his direction and Donald Glover's Lando would mesh so well together. But it looks like just as they're doing a Lando series.
So is he doing a series?
He's doing a movie.
Well, that's the thing, because I was going to say, if it's a movie, I'd hope that it's not, I'd hope the main character is not white. Because so far the main characters of pretty much all of them are white. Whether even if Rey was a woman, which is great, she was also white. Jin, white. Yeah, I just hope there's more people of color that are like the main character. And in the Jojo Rabbit, he put in, even though he didn't explicitly say these two characters are gay, it's very obvious, especially because the movie was based in Nazi Germany. They can't exactly say, yeah, we're gay, So, I hope there's also LGBT in there. I just hope he does that, which I'm sure he will to an extent of how much he can do, but I'm excited.
I'm excited. I think Taika's great. I think he is. I love his use of color. I think we talked about this a little earlier. I think live action modern Star Wars has been a little lacking in color sometimes. So I think hopefully Taika can change that.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok was very colorful and beautiful.
So I'm excited. I think he's brilliant. I think we talked about this. I talked about this with you, Jonah, on the last podcast we did together, how I think an important message of Star Wars, the important theme is about imperialism. We talked about it in Rebels, and I think it's fairly consistent throughout Star Wars. Something that he touches on a lot in his work. I think Thor Ragnarok's a great example of that.
Got it.
I'm sure he could bring that element into Star Wars, and I think he's great. I'm excited for
I just think he's neat.
Yeah, is that all the announcements?
Yeah.
I think so. There might be more, but there's just no information. Yeah. So we can't really.
They threw a lot of titles at us without much detail. Which is, I'm sure for some stuff, I bet they would be filming right now and have stuff to give us. But, with the world as it is, they can't. So it's exciting. We'll see where it takes us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a whole podcast.
That was a lot.
We kept you here very long, Jonah. Thank
you.
No,
that's fine.
Thank you. Thank you for podcasting with us.
Yeah.
Of course, always.
Your plugs.
Do you want to do your
my plugs? Oh, my bad. I didn't hear that. Listeners can find me on Twitter with the handle @BlueJakeEyes. And they can also find my writings on radicalgrid.com whenever I feel like writing. And they can also listen to me and my mom talk about Star Wars on the Geekybubble pod.
Yay.
You can follow Star Wars Geek Girl and Star Wars Geek Girl at Facebook, and it's SW Geek Girl on both Twitter and Instagram. You can go to Star Wars Geek Girl website. It was very recently revamped because WordPress just decided to stop working for us. So great. So we transferred the site over. I rebuilt the whole thing, and it looks great. Lizzie still has to write her bio for me.
Yes, I can do that today.
Like a month ago. Sorry. But you can go check that out. I do some writing there, and there's a poll. You can do a poll. I think I'm doing a monthly poll now because I can do what I want. And who has the best hair in Star Wars?
Oh no!
So we'll see who wins.
My dad will always pick
Quinlan. I got one response, and it said Quinlan Voss, and I'm like,
who's that?
No wonder.
Who could that be? But yeah, so check out that. You can find me personally at Spectre_5 written out, not the number, on both Instagram and TikTok.
You can find the Rogue Rebels at the Rogue Rebels on Instagram, and my dad on Twitter at So I Make Music, because he's fun. And also, did I say TikTok already?
I think no.
TikTok for Rogue Rebels. I also have a small TikTok. It's Rogue Rebel Sabine, with Bean as a BEAN.
I think it's the same for your Instagram too.
Well, yeah, but that's private. No one.
Private. Oh, I didn't.
Only
know.
family.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Only.
But I think that's all the plugs.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're listening to this, you know where to listen to the Star Wars Geek Girl podcast. So I don't have to say that. That's everything. All right. Thank you so much again, Jonah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anytime.
Okay.
So I was Zoe.
I was Lizzy.
And I was Jonah.
Thank you so much for listening.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.